Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video where today we are going to be looking at this, which is the brand new gimbal from Zhiyun. We're going to be doing a little bit of an unboxing, reviewing of it and showing exactly what this thing is capable of. And also at the end of this video I'm going to do a little bit of an announcement regarding reviews on this channel, but I'll talk about that at the end. So yes, we're going to be talking about this gimbal right here, the Zhiyun Crane Plus. Now I should probably mention at the very beginning of this video that CVP actually sent me this product to do a review. This isn't a paid video, not a paid sponsorship or an ad or anything. They literally sent me this product to do a review. So this is completely unbiased. Everything I say is my own opinion and stuff. But if you are interested in actually picking one of these up, I will link it in the description down below. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, some of you guys might be wondering what on earth is this thing? Because it kind of looks like a robot arm. What does this thing do? Well, basically you put your camera on top of it and it's a 3-axis stabilizer. It's a 3-axis gimbal. So it takes out any handheld movement I put into the camera. So if I was holding this camera, you get this kind of handheld shaky wobble. Putting it on a gimbal like this means we can get really nice, smooth, cinematic shots without the worry of these hand wobbly shots. And there are many gimbals on the market at the moment, so today's video is solely going to be about this gimbal right here, which is the Zhiyun Crane Plus. Okay, so let's start off with a quick unboxing and show exactly what do you get included when you buy one of these. So the Crane Plus comes in this box, and inside of here is this, which is basically the really awesome hard-wearing travel case that the Zhiyun Crane Plus comes with. Once we open up this, we can see everything we get which is included. Inside of here is all of our manuals and documents. This is a little rubber strap we can actually put around the handle to get extra grip. We have two 3600 milliamp batteries. We have the charger and charging cable to charge the batteries, but this is actually also used to add firmware updates to the actual gimbal itself. We have two more cables in here to connect a Sony or a Panasonic camera to the gimbal itself. Here we have the mini tripod which connects to the bottom of the gimbal, which means that we can place this or sit this down wherever we want. We have two bolts, one to connect the camera to the gimbal and the other is for this lens support right here. So if we have a camera with a heavy lens, we can actually use this. Here we actually have the handle of the gimbal where our batteries go inside of. And finally we have the gimbal itself. We've got a little bit of protection on it here and we can just pull it out of the box and now we can set it all up. And balancing the gimbal is really quite simple. First of all, start off by adding the camera to it, making sure that the lens cap is off, memory cards are in, and also batteries are in as well. So now we go through each axis one at a time, and as you can see here, the camera is slightly falling forward. So we undo this little nut here, and then we move it ever so slightly backwards until we get the perfect balance. Once the camera stays by itself, we can then move on to the next axis, which is this one. And now, as you can see, it's constantly falling to the left. So we have to undo this nut here and pull it over to the right. Again, when the camera's balanced, we can move on to the next one. So we can turn this around. And now, as you can see, it's constantly falling backwards. So we actually have to undo this one and push this one forward. And now, as you can see, the camera is sitting perfectly balanced in every single position where I put it. And finally, we want to alter this one here. And I find the easiest way is to hold it sideways. And if this goes to the top, we basically have to adjust this. And I like to set this one so the camera stays perfectly level when sideways. But one thing to remember, if we change the lens or we change how much zoom we're using on a lens, the camera is going to become off balance because obviously we're adding weight to the front of the lens. So we have to rebalance it every time we want to change a lens. And the more times you balance this, the quicker you become, and actually it only takes you about 1 or 2 minutes to balance the camera. Now, one of the coolest things about this gimbal is the payload it is capable of carrying. Now, it can hold up to 2.5 kilograms of camera weight, so pretty much any mirrorless or DSLR camera can actually fit onto this gimbal, and these motors can cope with it. And that pretty much means that we can add on a few extra features as well to our camera. So for instance, we can even add on a shotgun microphone to this setup to get perfect audio and also these beautiful cinematic shots. And once the camera is fitted and this gimbal is perfectly balanced, the battery life can last up to 15 hours, which is pretty incredible, which basically means that you can use it for 1 or multiple days without having to worry about charging this thing up. The one thing to remember is if you haven't perfectly balanced it and the motors have to work twice as hard, the battery life will be affected by that. So if you perfectly balance it, the batteries will last for about 15 hours. And getting that perfect balance is very, very simple as well, because it comes with this little mini tripod which sits on the bottom of the gimbal. So we can put this down anywhere, get the perfect balance, pick it back up, use it, and then we can just set it back down as well. Or you can even take this off the bottom and it doesn't actually affect the gimbal at all because it is just a mini tripod. So we can literally use it like this and it becomes a lot smaller. So obviously it has a tripod mount on the bottom of this gimbal, so we can add it to different tripods, or what I like to do is add it to a monopod as well. So we can get these really incredible long jib-like crane shots. And I think that's one of the main things I like to point out about gimbals like this, is we don't just have to use them handheld. By adding them to extra pieces of kit like a monopod, we can get these incredible cinematic creative shots just by using the gimbal and a monopod. Now, if anyone is interested in knowing a few extra cool tips and tricks of how to get cinematic shots with a gimbal like this, you can click the link up here and it will take you over to my film and tutorial channel. That is where I'm going to be doing some separate standalone videos teaching you guys exactly how to get some amazing cinematic shots just by using setups like this. Now, you probably know that most gimbals come with a few different features, and this has a mode button on the handle here. If we click the mode button, it can cycle through those different features. The first is pan follow mode, meaning the camera will pan left and right but not up and down. Next we have locking mode, meaning the camera stays in exactly the same place no matter where we put the gimbal. Now we have FPV mode, meaning the camera can point in any direction we like, including a 45-degree tilt angle. And finally we have a selfie mode, meaning the camera will spin 180 degrees facing you. It comes with a free app as well called ZY Play, which we can get in the App Store. This is what we use to connect it to our device. And one really cool thing with the app is we can actually use it as a remote control to control the gimbal and point the camera in any direction we want. One feature what I really like as well is the moving time-lapse, so we can actually set the positioning of the camera and we can tell it how many times we want it to turn or spin. We can set up to 4 different waypoints every single time. We can also save that as a preset, so we always get the same time lapse every single time. If you then hit next, we can choose how long it's going to go for. Once we press start, it goes back to the starting position, and then over that duration what we set, which was 30 seconds, the camera is going to slowly be moved by the gimbal. And if we want to add our phone to the top of the camera, I actually picked up one of these off of Amazon for about £5. We can put our phone in here and add this to the top of the camera. And one thing to remember, when we add our phone to the top of the camera, we will have to rebalance this again, because obviously the phone is going to make it off balance. Once the phone's on and balanced and is connected through Bluetooth to the actual gimbal, we can use features such as the tracking feature by pressing this circle down here. We then draw a square around the thing we want to track, say my hand. So now wherever my hand moves, the gimbal and the camera is going to follow it without me actually touching it or doing anything myself. Now you might be wondering, what does this gimbal have to offer that the other gimbals don't have to offer, which are on the market at the moment? Well, basically, I think there's 4 main things that make this stand out for me. The first is the payload, having a 2.5 kilogram payload for pretty much any small / DSLR type camera. Second would be the roll feature, meaning that we can go 45 degrees to 45 degrees. Third would be the moving time-lapse feature, having 4 different waypoints for a moving time-lapse. We can then obviously save that, go back into the app and get that exact same time-lapse wherever we are without having to reprogram in the times and the waypoints and duration of that time-lapse. And fourth would be the cables it comes with to connect the gimbal to a Sony or a Panasonic camera, so we can actually use the buttons and features on the gimbal to control the camera itself. Now, after using this gimbal for a couple of weeks now, there's not many negatives I've noticed whilst using it, but there's a few things that do stand out. One would be the actual design of the gimbal itself, and mainly this back arm. It seems to obstruct the back of the camera and the screen, so when I'm using it and I try to press the buttons, these arms get in the way of the camera and also obstructs the screen when I'm using it. Secondly, it's not really a negative, but I feel like it's been designed for the Sony and the Panasonic camera because it comes with those cables. I don't have a Sony or a Panasonic camera. I've been using a Canon on this camera, so half of the features what this gimbal is unique for, I can actually use or get the benefits of because I can connect it to my camera. And these features would include start-stop recording and zooming whilst using the buttons on the gimbal. And thirdly, I feel like the app just doesn't work as well as it should do. Now, they might be able to update that through an update of the app, but it kind of gets frustrating when you've connected your phone to your camera and you're trying to use the features such as the tracking feature and it fails more often than it works. It just feels like the app is letting the gimbal down rather than the gimbal is letting itself down. But overall, I feel like this gimbal is incredible. I've got some amazing and beautiful and cinematic shots with this gimbal, and there's no way I'd be able to get those shots without a gimbal like this. And having that extra payload capacity to be able to add on our phone or a microphone on top, I think that is a huge bonus for this gimbal. Now, I'm not going to say whether you should or you shouldn't buy this gimbal because that is entirely up to you. What type of user are you? What type of camera do you have? And what sort of features do you want to get out of a gimbal? And personally, I'm going to say that this gimbal is definitely going to be staying in my camera bag because I can get some awesome and incredible shots with it. And at the beginning of this video, I said that there was going to be a small announcement at the end of this video, and it's basically to do with videos like this on this channel. And I've decided that from now on, all my kind of filmmaking, review, tutorial type videos, they're going on a standalone separate channel, which I will link in the top line of the description down below. That is where all my reviews and how-tos and tutorials will be uploaded from now on. This channel is solely going to be dedicated to our vlogs, our travels and adventures with both me and Holly. So if you want to see more stuff like this, please head over to that channel and go see some more stuff over there. There's so many more videos I'm going to be doing with gimbals like this, reviewing them to other gimbals, showing you exactly how to get certain shots with them, comparing them to, say, glide cams and stuff. So go over and subscribe to that channel and get ready for all of those videos. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video about the Crane Plus from Zhiyun. If you found it interesting and informative, please give it a big fat thumbs up. And now I'll leave you guys with those three very important things, which are, as always, stay happy, stay positive, stay awesome. Goodbye.